Paul Fergeson, the son of Shanda VanderArk's, she's the mom who was convicted and charged recently in the abuse and death of her son. Paul, pretty much the henchman, doing her bidding from a very young age all the way into his early adulthood, and now has been found guilty of doing just that, following mommy's orders. He was an adult when he was abusing his younger brother, which ultimately led to his death, being sentenced to 30 to 100 years behind bars. Joining me to discuss, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent. This is one where depending on the time of day and depending the mood I'm in, my opinion changes. I have a lot of pity for the guy, for Paul, because he just seems like the product of excessive abuse. He knew no different, but at the same point, he abused somebody so much, it's all they know. It's all they're going to know for a long period of time. He's not safe in society. So I kind of applaud the judge for not being super soft. But in the end, it's just, it goes every which way. What's your thoughts on how this ended up for Paul?
Right with you on kind of flip a coin on how you feel about the kid throughout this until I watched the judge explain what he was going to do
Yeah.
and why he was doing it. And then I was like, I'm on board with the judge. He did a
Hmm.
great job. He explained things really, really well. His fear of the kid, going down the road of psychopathy, being a psychopath, I think is very well founded. And and you said the mom's henchman, and I think the judge did a good job of saying less henchman, more co-conspirator.
Yeah.
And that's what the real flavor I got. A few things I took some notes here that really stuck out to me. One, I love how the judge read all the text messages between the mom and the son 3 times.
Hmm.
Of text messages he read before he did this because he wanted context. Context is so important because when you take the 5 minute highlight reel of my mom manipulated me, my mom made me do this, I feared for my life. It sounds great when you have a younger kid and an older parent that's already been convicted of basically not just child abuse but murder. It's easy to get emotionally attached to another victim, but in the kid,
Hmm.
and he's claiming Stockholm syndrome. He's claiming all these things, but that's why the judge read the text messages,
Yeah.
and they were pretty clear. This was a collaborator, and I want to read one more statement.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
for monologuing. This is the statement that the kid made, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I ask the judge for nothing more than mercy and fairness, to offer me compassion so I might learn from him. I only hope to better myself in the coming days and serve my time with what little honor I have left. What's that missing?
Any sort of apology?
Yes,
Yeah.
remorse for
Remorse.
his actions. It's
Yeah.
me, which is what?
Narcissism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is on the path to psychopathy.
Hmm.
So really think the judge was spot on this.
Yeah. I mean,
And he said he felt for him. He understood, but he felt
yeah.
for him. But it's still the law.
I agree. I mean, I think we all feel for this kid because I mean, he really I, did he know better at a certain point? I think he did. But again, I mean, he does. I mean, the Stockholm syndrome, all of that. I think it could very well be there. I mean, I don't think that. I think that would the writings and what we've seen from him really kind of reflect someone who may have that. But at the same point, there's so many cases where we see judges make really horrible decisions or very horrible judgments and let people out that we see the red flags of and go, this is not going to work out well by letting this person out there. And if we were to sit on the sideline and he let him out, I think we'd be going, this is not going to work out well. Someone else is going to suffer because this person is out there, not just him. He will create chaos and destroy someone's life, if not ruin or kill another one. Um, so I agree there with the judge going, look, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to prevent this from happening again. Which again, like I said, I don't think we see enough of quite often, where we're doing preventative measures because all of the signs are there.
I agree. And the other thing that the judge did too, he really weighed the psychological testing that was done
Hmm.
by the psychs on this kid and the statements that the kid made during those
Hmm.
evaluations. I thought weighed heavily on this as well. And it just he just did really good due diligence. And I didn't get the flavor from listening to the judge's I want to say testimony, it wasn't a testimony, but the judge's statement
Yeah.
when he was given his the court's opinion was I didn't feel it was a punishment for the kid as much as it was keeping society safe
Hmm.
from the kid.
Yeah.
And I thought that was also it seemed like a compassionate action on both sides of this. Like you can't be out in society, and you may or may not get the help you need inside prison, but I
Hmm.
certainly cannot live with myself and the law by allowing you to roam free.
Yeah, I think he did the right thing there. I mean, what do you think the prospects are for rehabilitation on a kid like this? I mean, this is all this kid knew, and now we're putting him into the prison system, which is not exactly rehabilitation. I know there's programs within it if he so chooses to take advantage of them, but in most cases, people aren't necessarily walking out rehabilitated.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on
Yeah.
psychopathy. I dabble and touch on it. I if it's a genetic part of who he is, genetics are pretty incurable.
Hmm.
It is what it is. So it's going to be up to the system to decide and figure out over at least 30 years
Hmm.
onto whether he can be rehabilitated or not.
Hmm.
I'm skeptical of it.
Yeah.
I kind of look at psychopathy like the genetic coding for psychopathy, like I look not even this because a lot of times sexual abuse perpetrators are made and not born that way,
Yeah.
but undoing that wiring, I've never seen it work.
Yeah.
And
It's
so this to me is very similar to that.
One thing I did have a question on, and I'm curious to what your thoughts are, because I mean, it was kind of one of those, you testify against your mom, we'll have a little more grace on you. 30 to 100 years, is that grace? I mean, I think he was probably expecting a little more grace than that, but again, at the end of the day, the judge has to do what's right.
Yeah, the judge articulated well. You
Yeah,
testified against your mom, trying to make it look a certain way. He kept broadcasting during his
yeah,
statements. She made me. She made me. She made me. She made me.
yeah,
So much for it got overplayed. The kid seemed to lack context and awareness, a self awareness to the level of remorse
yeah,
that kept coming out in everything he was doing. Kind of like the what's Adam what's his last name that killed his daughter?
oh, Montgomery, yeah,
Montgomery. His courtroom lack of presence really added to his horrendousness.
yeah,
And I think the same thing here. I think this kid, the way he presented himself, hurt him. I
yeah.
think if I think would have he would have done better just to let that kind of play without even speaking so much. I mean, that statement he made was so self-centered. I. Dude, you're part of killing your brother,
Hmm.
and all you care about is you.
Yeah.
And that's with a potentially, supposedly, a loving critic like a defense attorney on your side helping you compose it.
Makes you wonder about the defense attorney a little bit. Kind of just, it's one of those things where either he was hell bent and this is what I have to say, which he doesn't seem the type of character that would be that way.
Right.
Or the defense attorney's like, yeah, just read this. This will play great, and really out of touch with
Horrible.
what would play great.
That was horrible. I mean, is yeah, I never show, but my notes I take right here. It's
Yeah,
literally the first thing on there was highlighted. That statement he made is like, whoa. I said, literally, my note here is fascinating statement, self-centered.
one hundred
Boom. It just
percent.
that's really struck me right away. And then I watched the judge give the court's opinion. Yeah, so here's a couple more notes I took on the judge's opinion, which I was very, very telling. Shows the context he grasped, like we've been saying about a judge. Really good due diligence. He said the kid has no intellectual disability. He read every single text message 3 times for context. Saw it as a collaboration more than a manipulation by the mother. Did not feel the kid did not feel shame when abusing his brother. And that was not just by the judge's interpretation, but the psych's as well. He's demonstrated cruelty to animals, which is a telltale sign of the psychopath in making. Stealing, he didn't think it was wrong. And the judge did a great job. He said, I recognize his horrible history, but
Hmm.
he must uphold the standard. And identified his arc and didn't see this as an isolated incident. You know, you and I have talked about the life behavior arc
Yeah.
on every single episode because that's how we can really predict human behavior.
Hmm.
And this kid's behavior towards his brother was not a deviation from his life arc.
Hmm.
That is why he got the sentence he did, I think.
Yeah. Well called for. And I think the judge uh, really did do his homework on this. So I applaud him for doing that. And I think justice, was served here. It'd be interesting to
Hopefully,
see.
more judges could be like him.
If only. If
If
only.
only.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks